Oh, good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. I hope you are well. Let's start off with our gold 33.73. It's up, breaking even. So, our real goal, we got to get into the 34s. If we get into the 34s at this rate, it'll stay in the 34s. What happened before when it hit 35, it was a holiday. So, when they came back from holiday, they put in their shorts. So now you're not going to have that. If it goes up, it's going to stay. Silver 38.89. Again, we've seen 39. So China's not really buying, but Europe is, and America's buying because they have to cover their shorts on the options. It's amazing how people don't get that. Oh, the U.S. is buying, they're going to go gold. They're not going gold. They tried stealing the gold from Bukaka Faza or whatever that is, that African country, and they told them, fuck off. Trump said, we want your gold because you owe the IMF, and not the Impossible Mission Force, the IMF bank. And they told them, not a chance. And they have military, and that's always the equalizer, right? The U.S. would come in with their little CIA agents and blow up Gaddafi or what, but that's not happening now because this Burkina Faso has a military. So the colonel just read he's the captain, he's the president, he just laughed at it. And he made sure he's got the gold mines secure and the oil secure, and he's fine. And he told him to fuck off. And that's what you have to do with a bully. If a bully comes in and says, I want your gold, you can't just lay down. You fight back, and the bully runs away because he's a bully. So now they're having a meeting in Africa, and they're coming out with a gold-backed currency for all of Africa with Burkina Faso, and there's other countries with gold in Africa. South Africa's kind of, hasn't been playing fair. They're very, very corrupt. But they're kicking out the U.S. and the French and any of the Europeans who were stealing the gold and the minerals from Africa, and that's why they're so poor. Now that they're keeping their gold and they have a lot of minerals that are key, they will get stronger, and they have Russia support. So Russia's kind of guarding the gold with them, and that's what it is. And then you have Brics with their gold-backed currency. It's already out. China, Russia. They have gold vaults, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, and then Shanghai, and then in St. Petersburg. So you have all that out there. Dollar's gone. Now, we were watching this thing yesterday. We'll get into the sports in just 1 second. So we were watching this one, The Death of Thought. And I can play it again. I'll do it later. The Death of Thought is about people don't ask questions or think. They're told what they're taught to agree and not challenge and not ask questions. That's really what's happening. So when Trump says, oh, inflation's low, people don't ask the question. Really? Prices are going up, but you're saying inflation's 2 or 3%. That's insane. It's thousands of a percent. You can't even count it, nor should you. Nor every item has different inflation rates. The house's inflation is different than the car inflation, and it's different than the gold inflation, and it's different than the silver inflation. Basically, inflation is not prices going up, it's the dollar being worthless. So it takes more dollars to buy it, and depending on what you're buying and the supply and demand, it's going to be different with almost every item. You're not going to pay $10 for tuna fish, but you might pay $10 for chicken or something that is perceived to be more needed than other things. That's the key to it, is people just, Trump says, oh, we're doing this, and everybody's like, oh, okay. Nobody's challenging it. And the more emotional it is, the more you get into it. So when you see this golf tournament and everybody cheers because the guy made a putt and they show it 15 times, it's done on purpose because they're showing the emotion. They're trying to get you to not use your mind and to just, oh, it's emotional. Here's the guy's dad and mom. Who cares? I mean, here, it's so stupid, but that's where people are sucked in. It's the emotion. They feel good. I'll make you feel good. I mean, it's really a joke. It's really but the people aren't. When my kids were in like junior high, they'd go to school all day. They'd come home and have all this homework, which would take them a long time because they probably were sleeping in school. They didn't really understand, and the teachers were terrible at explaining. But my kids didn't have downtime to think and react and go, oh, what should I do today? And let's go have fun and let's think about things. They didn't have that time. I did when I went to school. And I went into school in the 60s and 70s. I don't remember too much homework you had. Very little homework, which I would do watching the football games on Sunday. But you had time to think. We had time to go play baseball and football and just relax and enjoy. And they don't have that. At least they haven't. And their excuse was they're not doing well on the test scores. Well, that's because the teachers suck. But anyway, you're getting away from critical thinking, which is what this course is all about. It's about, if A happens, then what will B happen? If we hit an iceberg, then what happens? Oh, the ship's going to sink. That's critical thinking. They don't want you to think that way. They just want you to, I'm on the boat, it's unsinkable, and we can't sink. And nobody thinks about it. And then as it's going down, they realize they've been duped into not thinking and not asking questions. So that's the critical part of being manipulated is they'll just, Trump will say inflation's down and everybody believes it. Nobody's asking the question. That's what I try to do, is be contrary and ask the question and answer the question for everybody. Why gold? Because, you don't want to buy gold. It's not worth anything, And people fell for it. And realize every time I point this out in the movie, Attack on Wall Street, if the guy would have put his $60,000 in gold instead of the real estate trust, when the real estate crashed, his gold almost doubled from 60,000 to about 110,000. Right. So had he thought about it, he would have not chose real estate trust. He would have chosen gold, but they don't want you in gold, but gold's going through the roof. Gold will continue to go through the roof because there's no other option. The dollar's like the Titanic. We know it's getting flooded by dollars, and it has to, because they have to keep printing to pay Social Security and Medicare, to pay the debt, and to pay the defense and all the government employees. There's not enough money coming in to pay. There's more money going out than coming in. So they have to print. And that's why they do these treasury bond every month, and nobody wants it because the money's worthless, because they can't. If you keep printing, it's not worth anything, and that's where we're at. So, but how many people are asking that question? Oh, we're fine. We're America. We're great. Bullshit. We're broke. The UK's broke. The UK's asking for a bailout, as Pat told us yesterday. I don't think they can bail them out, because what are they going to bail them out with? British pound's worthless. All these dollars printed by this is worthless. This is a euro. This has no value. It has a 5 on it. Big fucking wimpy. You can't, if you're in Europe and you want to use this, you're probably not even getting a cup of coffee, right? That's because it's not worth anything, because they're in the same, every country's in the same situation. High debt. Everybody's retiring, so high Social Security or pensions, and military, they're not even spending that much on. And then that leaves the debt. They all have debts, and the government employees, they all have big governments that they can't afford. So they're all in the same boat. So if you ask the question instead of just sitting there going, yes, sir, may I have another, and just take it and start analyzing, you will realize all the countries are the same. That's why I got you into gold and silver 5 years ago, because I was aware of this and I screamed, get the fuck out of it, get into gold and silver. And if you got in 5 years ago, then you'd be buying it at 1700, now it's 3400. If you got in later, you bought it, my friend in Vegas, he bought it at 2000. And he's very happy it's at 3400. And I'm glad it proves me correct, but I didn't really need the proof. I knew it was going, and I know it's going to go to, it'll go $5,000 to 10 grand to 20 grand until the dollar collapses. And what are we going to have? Stable coins? You're going to pay what? Your credit cards with stable coins? Your mortgage with stable coins? I don't think so. It's just a way to deflect, because this is worthless. So if this is worthless, then what do? You come out with a new dollar. And Russia's done it 8 times. They're on their 8th ruble. And it doesn't work. It never works because you keep printing and you can't get rid of it. That's why I announced Africa and the Brics already have. Africa just started a gold-backed currency for all of Africa with this guy, Burkina, whatever, Burkina Faso, I believe. So right here, one Africa, one passport. Euro money room, France on the brink. Basically, what they're announcing here is a gold-backed currency. The euro, the Afro money is the new money. It's backed by gold. He's cut out the U.S. and France. This is for all of Africa now. So they all need gold, and they have it, and it's a gold-backed currency. What would you rather have, gold-backed currency or U.S. dollar? The way J.P. Morgan does things, and he's running the U.S., FYI, he doesn't like competition. He can't, he's not smart enough to compete, so he cheats, and he always wants monopolies. And so what he's doing is the U.S. dollar is okay and COMEX is okay as a monopoly. But as soon as all these Russia and China and Dubai gold exchanges, now it's physical gold setting the price, COMEX goes away. They can't compete with it. It was a Ponzi scheme. The U.S. and the U.K. were just buying and selling, buying and selling. So they knew if one bought, the other would sell. If one sold, the other would buy. So they had their back and they were making money. And that's over, because now nobody wants it, because you don't have physical, and the physical price will start taking over. That's what Mark McGuire keeps screaming about. We'll get a physical price. Now, I know everybody, well, when's it going to happen? Why didn't it happen already? Well, it's happening. It's just JP Morgan pulling their, holding, it's like you're holding onto the rope, but you're going to fall off the rope. And that's where we're at now. It's coming very quickly. Just, you got to hold on. Just be patient. We know what's going to happen. We've asked the question. We're not just idiots going, oh, we don't know what's going on, but if Trump says this, then that's it. No, and that's the thing. We know COMEX is either going to go away or it's going to be a physically priced exchange, which, if we have gold and silver, makes us happy, because our price goes up. Our investment wins. We get the W. Stock market's going to crash. The Bitcoin, who the hell knows what that is? and real estate trusts crashing, banks crashing because people can't afford the loan. People are like credited out. So the credit cards are to the max. They get a new credit card so they can go to the grocery store and pay minimum on it. People are losing their jobs. People are we're in a recession, almost a depression at this point. Trump saying everything's great, make America great again. And how are we going to do that? Well, we'll have tariffs. And how is that going to work? Tariffs are bad. They cause depressions, not good. So Trump will say, oh, the tariffs are good. And everybody screams. And now you're back to being told what to do and emotion and just doing what is the emotion behind it, which is getting you not to ask the question. Wait a minute, the economy's in a depression. What are you talking about? Well, no, it's not a depression. Everything's great, and just believe me, and don't question me. And that's where we're at: is people just not questioning and just believing. They don't want to know the truth because the truth is ugly. And if they know the truth, then they're going to revolt on the president. So, but the problem is because he lies until it makes up fairy tales, you don't prepare for the end. That's why you have me. How do you prepare for the end is with the gold and silver. It's the only way to prepare. But now I understand why I get shot a lot of times when I go, hey, have you bought gold? And they look at me like I'm crazy because it's against the norm. The norm is the emotion of these guys saying, oh, everything's fine. Oh, your 401k is fine. Oh, look at the stock market. It's fine. And it's not, but you're not questioning it. But when I come to you and say, hey, this is wrong, that goes against the story being told. Hey, we're all happy. Look at the stock market. Oh, my God. And look, the U.S. and the tariffs are working and all this bullshit. And people just are comfortable hearing that everything's fine. Oh, well, look at the stock market. Yeah, we must be doing well, which is total bullshit. It's kept up by the algorithms also. Just like Comex is fake, so is the stock market. That's why I warn you now, be careful in the stock market. The stocks are going to go up. The miners are going to go up. No, they're not. Be careful. They're going to tank just like everybody else. But why are you still messing around in it? Get out of it. You should be in gold and silver. So that's where you're really at, is you're not preparing because you don't know. Some people are. They're buying a bunch of food, I guess. And some people, but I question that. It's like, how much food can I put in the freezer and the pantry until how long is that going to last me? Okay, let's say it lasts me 2 months. Then what do I do? Right? If it gets to that, you have to leave and take your gold and silver with you. But that's what it is. You have to know you're being scammed by these guys in the feel good, like Hitler. He would do that. And then it's the symbols, the swastika. Everybody, oh, look, it's red and black. And you get the same thing here with signs and symbols, the eagle, the dollar, whatever. And so you just believe everything's good, and you're not. But the problem is you're not preparing for the problems. The problem is the boat sinking, and you're not prepared for it. You need to get in a lifeboat. The dollar's sinking. You got to prepare for it. You got to buy gold and silver because it's got nothing to do with anything. There is no other option. I give you a few with a Rolex and a mantle card, but basically, and a Picasso, but basically you got to turn it into gold and silver anyway. And that's really your key, and that's really your out. The lifeboats are real assets, gold and silver. And, like I say, Rolex or mantle cards. That's it. Bitcoin, how is Bitcoin a lifeboat? It doesn't have a value. It's being manipulated by that one guy, Sailor, and then Trump has $1 billion in Bitcoin. That shows you how stupid he is. And people are running to that as safety, and it's not. Why are you running there instead of running into gold? Because they're not told about gold. They don't know gold is the key. We do. That's why we buy it. Oh, well, it doesn't move. It's not 100,000. It will be. Bitcoin will be zero, but you're not seeing it yet, right? So they're doing their best to keep it down, but here comes the Brics and now Africa pushing it up. All right, we'll get
And with the weight of the West,
we'll get more into that. All right, so let's 33.73, 38.89, gold and silver. So you buy it because it's your lifeboat. That's why you're buying gold and silver, because it can't go down because it's limited. So I'm going to take you through why, right? They don't. They just give you, oh, just the dollar's fine, America's fine, everything's fine. And that's the problem. But I'm giving you is why you buy gold and silver, because they can't print it. And therefore it's limited. And if it's limited, it has to go up in value. That's why I tell you to buy the Mantle cards and the Montana rookies and the Tom Brady's, because they're limited and there's huge demand and they can't go down. They might go down in dollars, but they are certainly not going down in gold. There'll always be a demand. If you own gold, you're going to want to buy it. All right, so let's go to sports. All right, so where should we start? Let's start with college football. Always a happy talk. So, college football week went. So, what was our views? What did we take away from it? Well, Iowa State, Kansas State was an easy one. All right, we had Iowa State plus the points because I rated the game even. Iowa State, Rocco Breck was back. I love their coach. Kansas State, their quarterback was back and their coach. It was a dead even game. 24-21 was the final. It should have been 31-21. Iowa State could have scored. They had the ball like this far from the end zone and took knees. That's the smart team, right? They take a knee. The stupid team would have scored and then given up the ball, and they could have lost on a touchdown, an onside kick, and a touchdown. It's not too likely, but it could have happened. So one of my rules, or one of my analytical way to bet football, is to look for a live dog, I call it. There's two ways of a live dog. You get an even game like you had Iowa State, Kansas State, or you have what I call a weak favorite. What's a weak favorite? A team that's favored that probably lucky to win. That's what I've been doing in the preseason. Tennessee, Jacksonville, these teams should never be favored. Indianapolis. Can you believe Indianapolis? We'll get to college. We'll get out. It's all football. Their best two quarterbacks are Riley Leonard and the guy from Kansas, who I'm mentally blocking. What's his name? Jesus, I want to say Banks, but that's not right. Bean, Jason Bean. Those are the best two quarterbacks Indy's got, and they're far better than Richardson and Jones. Now they're sitting there making Jones their starter. So let's ask analytically why. Let's ask the why question. He showed you for 5 years at the Giants he sucked. They couldn't win any games. The coaches almost fired. They had to just let him go. Gave him a $25 million contract, the worst contract in the world. And they just let him go. They didn't even, okay, you stink so bad, we're going to start Danny DeVito and we're going to just you're fired. So why would Indy pick him up? Because this is how stupid Indy is. This is a stupidly run company. Indianapolis Colts, bad owner, bad GM. The GM to take it, or the owner, they think, oh, well, if we have running quarterbacks, that's better. than a passing quarterback because we don't have, then we got to spend on a line. So this way, the quarterback can just run around in a circle and who cares? It's a team not trying to win. It's a team trying to get by with a piece of shit quarterback in Daniel Jones. By mistake, though, they free agent Jason Bean from Kansas. They don't realize how good he is. It's a mistake. He's outstanding. You're looking for a backup, I would trade for Jason Bean in a heartbeat. He's like Kyle Trask. These guys are great. Stenson Benson had a good preseason. These guys should be starting. And when you see Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy or Caleb, it's a joke. Caleb's not even the best quarterback on his team. Badgett is much better than Caleb. But they can't, how can we say that we made a mistake on the number one pick in the draft and we fucked up and we didn't take Daniels and we didn't take Penix. We took Caleb and he stinks. A lot of that is just press or whatever, but this is what you run into. Anyway, so that's how we find a weak favorite in pros, but let's go to college. Kansas, Fresno State. Kansas looked great. Quarterback their Jalen Daniels looks much better this year. We'll be betting Kansas multiple weeks. We'll probably be locking them. We need to find a Z team. See, this is why we look at conference. So we got the Big 12 or whatever they're called now, the Big 16. They have an A team. That's going to be Kansas and Iowa State, maybe Baylor, maybe Texas, TCU. There's a lot in the category, and there's going to be Z teams. And that's what we're going to go after. So when we get a Kansas and they play the Z team, we're going to lock the game. We're going to, the spread won't be right because it's Kansas. It's not Alabama. So the spread will be 5-6 points lower. Then we tease it. We get another 6 points down. That's what you look for. You found your Kansas. Now you're looking for the Z team. I think it might be Cincinnati in that division. Let's take a look who's in that division. So in the NCAA, we have standings. And then we want to go into the Big 12. So here's your teams. Iowa State, an A team. Kansas, an A team. Houston, very good defense, good coach. Utah's an A team. TCU's an A team. Texas Tech, we're not sure. They lost their running back. Cincinnati's probably going to be the Z team there. BYU, great defense, freshman quarterback. Arizona, I don't know. They've been shitty with the new coach. They could be the Z team. They were last year. Baylor, probably an A team. Oklahoma State, they're supposed to be the Z team. Hey, David, how are you? Oklahoma State should be the Z team there. UCF, maybe an over team. Arizona State, they were really good last year. They're probably an A. West Virginia is probably going to be terrible. Colorado without Prime Jr., I don't think they'll be any good. And Kansas State showed you they're decent. So the target's going to be the Oklahoma States, the Arizona, West Virginia, and maybe Colorado is who we're going to be taking Kansas and betting against. If Kansas is a dog in any of these games, we're automatically taking them and Iowa State. That's how the conference breaks down. It's a lot of good teams, but I think Cincinnati, Arizona, probably the worst. We'll have to see how Colorado does. They do have a quarterback from Tulane, Minshew, who was okay. He's more of a dual threat type of quarterback. I don't know if Primetime knows how to handle that. So Kansas, Fresno State, what do we take away? Fresno State, not very good. And Kansas is. Stanford, Hawaii. Hawaii won 23-20. Stanford sucks. Hawaii came back to win, but again, they played Stanford. So I'm not really all high on Hawaii. We're going to bet them every week and lock them and everything. I'm not like that at all. Shador had a terrible game. Okay, what else is new? We know that. Again, it's preseason, and again, he's not a professional football player in any stretch. There's a reason he went in the fifth round, and there's a reason nobody drafted him because the guy's not very good. He takes too many sacks. That's the key. The key to picking a quarterback. You watch him in college against big games, Ohio State, Texas. You're going to find out the real Arch Manning and the real guy on Ohio State in this game. Arch Manning will be lucky to complete 30% of his passes. He'll probably go 10 of 30 for 89 yards and no touchdowns. Maybe he runs for another 15, 20. He's going against Ohio State's defense. He's not going to do shit, but that's how you mark him. The problem is the pros will mark him when he plays Rice. Oh, he threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns against Rice. But against Ohio State, he was 10 of 35 for 80 yards. That's the problem that the pros and the GMs make is they look at the Rice game, but they don't look at the Ohio State game. How did we say Caleb sucked? Because we looked at the Notre Dame, the UCLA, and the Oregon game, and he was non-existent. He had like 5 picks against Notre Dame. UCLA didn't do anything. They didn't even score 20 points. In Oregon, they got killed. It was like 41-0 at the half. And that's the point. That's the games that you look at to see if these guys are going to be good pros. Not the Rice games and the New Mexico States and the Liberties and and Caltech, Poly Pomona. I mean, those aren't the games you look at. Yet the GMs, I don't even know what they're looking at. They're way in over their head. It's just like politics and the government. Scott Simpson should not be running the Treasury. He doesn't have a degree. He doesn't even have an engineer. He's not even an economist. I'm an economist, historian. Yeah, that doesn't mean, you're not an economist. You shouldn't be running it. And again, what are you doing for our debt? Oh, it's now 37 trillion and interest rates are about to boom. So you must be very careful with that. The Sam Houston, Western Kentucky game, Western Kentucky, their quarterback from Abilene Christian threw for over 400 yards. They look good, 41 points. Sam Houston, now their coach left, so how are they going to beat? Well, their defense isn't really anything. Last year, they had a killer defense. They had a 20 defense. Well, they've already let up 41 to Western Kentucky with the Abilene Christian quarterback. So it just shows you Western Kentucky will be fine. They're usually explosive. They'll be right up there. They'll be a good team. Is Sam Houston our Z team? We hope so. We know our Z team. If I go through last year's, my Z teams on the board, Central Michigan was a W. Wyoming and Akron are W's. Let's see. Kent State is a Z team. Charlotte's a Z team. Let's see. UTEP is a Z team. MSU was a W. Temple and UMass were Z teams. Now with Temple, I guard against them being a Z team this year because they got a new coach. The Sam Houston coach left. Now Sam Houston last year was an under team. They had a great defense and not great offense. And so Temple should be a much better team. They got UMass this week, who's a Z team, so they should win. We'll see if we're going to play them. Purdue was a Z team. Usually what changes the Z team is when they get a new coach. He brings in his little system that works. UCLA was a W team. Georgia State was a W team. Let's see. Florida State was a Z team. We don't know what Missouri State was, and then TCU and North Carolina. So what happens is everything changed. There's new Z teams this year. Temple gets Sam Houston's coach. All of a sudden, they're a better team. Southern Miss was they were a Z team, but now they get the Marshall coach. Marshall was a B team. So now the whole philosophy changed. Now they got a coach that knows what he's doing. A lot of it's because the coach is incompetent and he's trying to run a football team. He has no idea. And the players quit on him and he's a Z team. Marshall, 47, they lose their coach, 47 players leave. Well, they're not going to be the same team they were last year. So this is what you're hunting for then is the Z team because we want to pound and we want to bet against them heavily. Vegas won't figure it out. They never spread it properly. They do in the Georgia game, it's 39, but let's say it was Iowa State playing Marshall. It'd probably be 7 or 10 points. And we jump all over them because we know they've lost 47 players. Their coach left and their quarterback left. They're not the same team. And this is what you have to understand. And this is why we critical think sports. And this is why we win at poker and at that. Poker, we're always going, why did he make the bet? Does it make sense? That's thinking. That's not just listening to the symbol and emotional. And the same thing here in football. We're looking, are they the same team? Have they changed? So we read up on it and we go, oh, wait. Yeah, Iowa State hasn't changed. They were a really good team last year. The same thing with Kansas State. But then we look at Fresno State. Wait a minute, Mikey Keene's gone and the coach is gone. Now we don't know what we have. And now we have to see and rank what the hell Fresno State is. And after looking at the Kansas game, they pounded them. I think Kansas finished at the 2-yard line taking an E, so it could have been 38-7. Washington's changed. Their quarterback's really good. Their coach was really good at Arizona. He gets thrown in there now. He's got a year under his belt. He's got a good quarterback. They're fixing their defense. Washington could easily win the Big Ten. USC, if they get the defense. And they got the UCLA defensive coordinator from 2 years ago. So look for these teams to make the jump. Look for Ohio State and to fall because of this new quarterback. I don't care what he is. It's going to take him at least 8 to 9 games to get the feel of their offense, their offensive line, the running. They got a new offensive coordinator. You don't just go with that. That's why I'm with the Lions. After watching the preseason, I don't think they win 5 games. They'll be lucky to win 5 games. You don't just there's no switch you turn on. Okay, regular season, now we start playing. That doesn't work. Their offense is okay. Has anybody figured them out? Maybe, but their offensive line's not as good. You can't lose your starting center and guard and expect the defense to not penetrate it. Especially the center was All-American, so you're not replacing him. The left tackle is old. Probably banged up. The right tackle's too slow, but who cares about the right tackle? It's the left tackle. And so everybody knows they like to run left and on first down, and that's what they're gonna stop. And then these play actions, you watch, they'll figure out the play action. And once they figure out you're not running to the left, and once they figure out the play action comes back to the right, which is all the Lions do, you've got them solved. They're not going to score. Then you have the little bit of the zone where St. Thomas cuts underneath. That's their third play. And that's it. So once you take out St. Thomas, I'd knock him in the head a couple times. That's what the Raiders are so good at. What you call it, my man? Jesus Christ. Jack Tatum. He'd knock you out. He knocked out Lynn Swan. You come across him, he'd knock you out. All right, we'll take the penalty, but you're out of the game. That's what he would do. He would just coldly, he'd give you the forearm to your face and you'd be knocked out. They would try to take the quarterback out because they want to win the game. That's how you win the game. You get Goff out of the game, you beat Detroit. I'd be all over Goff. I'd be blitzing the shit out of him. David TK, who you got winning it all in college? I have no idea. We will find out. Right now, there's too many games, too many injuries. I've given you my top teams, but at this point, we'll see who the A teams are, and I will go through that. We don't know right now because we don't know how good Underwear is at Michigan. We don't know the Ohio State quarterback. We assume he's not good. He's from Alabama, and he couldn't beat out Milrose. As I said, Utah would be good. Baylor will be good. This Iowa State, Kansas will be very good. And then you've got Washington, USC. I'm not sure about Penn State. Depends on the schedule because there's so many, some teams play a tough schedule and some teams don't. Georgia, we got to see how their quarterback is. Alabama, we have no idea. We love DeBoer, but we don't know about we don't know anything about we don't know anything about the new quarterback. So we have to watch that. We can't make those determinations. Let's see how it plays out, and then I can tell you. The pros, we have a little bit easier time because we know what Philadelphia is, and Kansas City, and Denver, and Atlanta, and Buffalo. So there's a myriad of teams that from last year to this year haven't really changed. The good ones don't change. The bad ones do. The Lions have no chance. Two new coordinators. Forget about it. There's no way they're doing anything. And then I don't think the Bears are going to win too much. Caleb still sucks. And then Baylor, Badgett, the backup is very good. Is the coach smart enough to go with Badgett? Or is he going to be listening to the crowd with Caleb, losing every game with Caleb? And here Badgett. Badgett has the offense. Caleb doesn't. Theoretically, logically, you should be starting Badgett. You can win with Badgett. You can't win with Caleb. He had Lincoln Riley and Cliff Kingsbury as his coaches his senior year, and he sucked. Then, last year, that the coach wasn't, it was the coach's fault. The offensive coordinator, so this is really his first year. No, bullshit. He doesn't need, Daniels didn't need it. Daniels is winning with this idiot coach at Washington, but he's got Cliff Kingsbury. Look for Penix and look for Bo Nix. Bo Nix is lucky. He's got whatchamacallit, Sean Payton. Look at Stafford. He couldn't win with the Lions. He goes to L.A. with Sean McVay, and he wins the Super Bowl. It's the coach, but the coach was smart enough to know, I can't win with Goff. I'm going to go with Stafford. And that's what is the Bears coach smart enough to use Badgett or sit there and babysit Caleb and watch him cry and, they blitzed me and this and that. I threw 10 interceptions. And is he going to be smart enough to go to Badgett? Or is he going to go 0-5 and then go, I guess I need to go to Badgett? There's, this is the problem. All right. So those four. So we've learned Sam Houston, very weak. Western Kentucky looks good. Hawaii, Stanford's terrible. And then Fresno State looks terrible. Kansas looks very good. Iowa State, Kansas State both looked very good. So let's look at the bigger games this week. Let's go to the line. We always got to go to the line when all else fails. You go to the line. Hello. All right, scores and schedules. FBS. So we start off with Boise, South Florida. That's a good game. Who are these teams? And so that's where we break it down so it's easy to bet. Boise State should still have a good quarterback. They were a playoff team last year, should still be very good. South Florida, an offensive team. South Florida is an over team. If we look at last year, they were 29 defense. So I expect Boise to score early and often, and I think South Florida was an over team. Boise with the 22 defense. Part of that is because Gentry ran so much, they got the rest. The key is going to be the new running back for Boise, which we don't know. But South Florida at home in the heat should score a lot of points. So that's where you're at with this. This total 62.5. It tells you that's what's going to happen. And it should be pretty close to that. Jacksonville State, UCF. Jacksonville State, where are they? They're an E team. They got a new coach and a new quarterback. The coach was Rich Rodriguez, who's now at West Virginia. So they got a new coach, Jacksonville State, to worry about. UCF, Scott Frost is the stupidest coach in the history of coaches. Yes, he's dumber than the Lions coaches. He wanted to put Joe Burrow at safety. Joe got hurt at Ohio State, lost his starting job, goes and is going to transfer, and he goes to Nebraska, and the guy says, "Oh, we'll make you a safety." The second best quarterback in the NFL, he wanted him to play safety, which is alarming that Scott Frost was a quarterback, can't see talent. How are you ever going to win? You don't have talent. Or do you want the dual threat guy? Because I can't win with a regular option, a regular drop back passer is what he's telling me. So he can't spot Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow goes to LSU, teams up with Chase and Jefferson. What a fucking team that was. What fucking receiver. How do you get Chase and Jefferson on your team? That's unbelievable. And then add Joe Burrow to it. And that's why they won every fucking game. They put up 50 points a game against good teams like Texas, Alabama, Clemson, everybody. They just killed them. And that's the key. He can't spot talent. He's at UCF, so I don't know what to do with this guy. Jacksonville State will probably stink. They'll probably be the Z team, and that's what we'll watch and record. We watch. I look at every box score. I'm looking for running back. What was the box score I was looking at? I think it was, I don't know, it was Kansas or Western Kentucky. Great runner, great receiver. Might have been Western Kentucky. And so that's what you want. You have to have balance. You're looking for balance. You're looking for a team that has a good runner and a good receiver. How do you defend them? You take away the runner, they throw it at you. You take away the receiver, they run it down your throat. That's the best team to bet on because they can't stop you. Finding that team is not difficult the way I do it. Iowa State's probably close to that. I'm sure they ran for a bunch, and Rocco Brics, a very good quarterback. So this is the thing. He stayed at the same system, and now he's in his third year there. And he was pretty good his first year. Yes, last year was okay. Now he's dynamite. And that's why these idiot kids are listening to the voices and transferring instead of staying and getting better in a system, right? You got to get used and comfortable to the system. And these guys aren't smart enough to do it. So they transfer all over the place. It's so stupid because you don't know what system you're going to get. So that's what I say. If you got a real good job, don't leave for another one because you don't know what you're going to get. And you might get a bad job, but you're at a good job. And it's not thing. The same thing with the girlfriend. You got a good girlfriend. You really love her and everything. You don't leave because this other girl is prettier because you don't know what you're going to get there. She might be a bitch. You have a nice one. You have a good girlfriend. So you don't leave it just to leave it or I got to see what this one is. That's just ridiculous. All right. Let's see. Buffalo, Minnesota is a curious game. Minnesota is a B team last year. Buffalo is an over team. They both have new quarterbacks, but Minnie's quarterback's a freshman. That's alarming. Both coaches are back. Buffalo's quarterback played at Kansas State, but he was the backup. So what's the guy doing? He's going to Buffalo to play, but he doesn't even know if the offense works for him. What if the Kansas State quarterback gets hurt or sucks? Then he would have played. He knows the system, but now he's at Buffalo. So he's taking a big risk by going to Buffalo. I don't believe that these guys are all paying these guys millions of dollars. Like, do you actually think Buffalo played the backup at Kansas State $5 million to come to Buffalo. I hear it, but I don't believe it. I don't think in Buffalo. The Alabama backup quarterback to Murrows is the starter for Ohio State. Do you honestly think they paid him all kinds of money to be the starter when he was a backup? I don't think so. So this is what you have. This is the problem with these guys. If they're any good, the team they're on will pay them. They don't want to lose them. So we got to see what these quarterbacks look like. And Minnesota, pretty good defense. So we will see if the Buffalo quarterback does well. Now, he's not a freshman, so he could. Minnesota's is a freshman. I'm not expecting a lot out of him. I don't care if he's a 5-star, 20-star, or 100-star. I'm not expecting anything out of him. Minnesota will run and play defense because that's what they do. Nebraska, Cincinnati. Nebraska is an under team as soon as I can find them. And Cincinnati was an E team. Cincinnati with the 25 defense. Returning quarterback, Sorsby, who was not that great. And the coach is back. And Nebraska has Rule and Raiola back. Raiola sucked. Rule is a very good defensive coach, but not a very good offensive coach. We will see. Nebraska played, 20 defense, but they didn't score. A lot of interceptions by Raiola. Let's see if they fix those. Raiola is stupid if he transfers because he's learning the system. Now, does he fit into the system is the point. Cincinnati, I don't know. We will see how bad they look to Nebraska. I doubt they score much, and I don't know what their defense will be. This could be the Z team. So we're watching this game to see, is Cincinnati the Z team? Is West Virginia the Z team? West Virginia's got Rich Rodriguez. He's going to run that quarterback bullshit that he runs that scores a lot of points if he has Pat White, a fast quarterback. Otherwise, he did shit at Michigan. They looked terrible. And he had that fast quarterback, shoelaces or shoelaces, whatever. So we'll see. We do know Nebraska will have a good defense because that's the coach. Do we know what Cincinnati will be? Based on last year, they averaged 23, 24 a game, gave up 24, 25. That's all we know. Miami of Ohio, Wisconsin. Miami of Ohio was a good under team, an 18 defense. They get a new quarterback, same coach. The coach is key. He's a defensive coach. He's planning on defense. Look for Miami of Ohio to have a strong defense. Wisconsin, an under team with a 23 defense, a new quarterback, same coach, Luke Fickell, who was really good at Cincinnati. See, you wonder about these coaches. Luke Fickell is good at Cincinnati, and he goes to Wisconsin for the money. Big mistake because he sucks there. And Scott Frost was great at UCF because he had Mackenzie Milton. Milton gets hurt, so Frost runs to Nebraska, has Adrian Martinez, who sucks. And he couldn't throw. He was a good runner, but he couldn't throw. And Frost likes the dual quarterback because he can't coach a regular quarterback. Now he's back at UCF, but he doesn't have Mackenzie Milton. He'll probably suck. Why did he leave in the first place? He had an undefeated season, and he leaves to go to fucking Nebraska. And he sucked at Nebraska. He get booed off. That's why it's like, how are they going to do? We got to see how they're going to do before we know how they're going to do. The problem with college is not only all the teams, but all these transfers and then all these new quarterbacks. So we really have to digest the data to really figure out. Now, the data that we know, the Iowa States, is what we're looking at, right? Now we got it. Ohio State and Michigan both have new quarterbacks. We don't know. Washington's quarterback was there near the end. He looked pretty good. USC, we know their quarterback. So Penn State, we know their quarterback and running. Okay. So, and the certain teams where they've kept their guys, we know what to expect. We can take advantage of that. It's the Ole Miss, who's their quarterback? Any good? I don't know. Lane Kiffin's a good offensive coordinator guy. We'll see. We expect Ole Miss to score a lot, but we don't know. All right. Auburn and Baylor, very interesting game. Auburn, 2.5, 57.5. So this started Auburn minus 2.5, then it went Baylor -1. Now it's Auburn 2.5. 57.5 has been there. Auburn with the 21 defense, Baylor with the 25. Robertson, an excellent quarterback for Baylor, and the coach is back. You've got a new coach in Hugh Freeze for Auburn, and a new quarterback. We don't know what to expect. We know Baylor can score, and we know they'll score on Auburn. We know Hugh Freeze is not a big defensive guy. So look for Baylor to be over. And the question is, did they get a better defense? And then Auburn, we don't know who their quarterback is. We know Hugh Freeze. They did beat Alabama, so we like them. But we don't know. We can't look at last year because they got a new coach. It's going to be a different team. So that's where we're at. We're looking at that and trying to figure out who's Auburn this year. I'm surprised they're favorite at Baylor. That's very surprising. Baylor should be I have Baylor as a 4-point favorite in the game. Okay, you freeze, maybe get you a point or two, but I don't know why Baylor's not favored here. We'll see. Georgia Tech, Colorado. We got Georgia Tech 53.5. We got Haynes King, quarterback, outstanding, very clutch, and we love the coach, K. Colorado, we got Prime, which we don't love, and the new quarterback from Temple, from Tulane, Mensah, who didn't really have big numbers, but he can run. So they're going to go to more of a running because they don't have a receiver because they lost him also. So Colorado's going to struggle this year. Will they be a Z team? Probably not. They'll probably be an over team. They'll probably run, but how good's their defense going to be? That's what we'll see. Maybe they have a good defense, better than we think. And that's what we got to see. And they're going to run it more. Georgia Tech, we know what we got. We got a very solid team that wins, has a very good quarterback who's very clutch, and a very good coach. So you have a team probably better than they ranked. Georgia Tech last year was a E team. They gave up 25 a game. So hopefully we'll see if they're a better defense. And at Colorado will help us. You know, if they beat them 28-3, fuck, Georgia Tech's got a great defense. I'm not expecting it. I'm probably expecting a game in the 20s or 30s for both teams. But we will see. That's what you're looking for. Central Michigan, San Jose State. San Jose State, 12.5, 15.5. San Jose State has the Navy coach. Central is going through a rebuild. They have a new coach who's never coached before. The quarterback's back. San Jose State's got the coach and quarterback. The coach is from Navy. They had a 26 defense. I expect to get better. Central with a 30 defense. Central was a Z team last year, and they were a W last year, and I expect them to be a Z team this year. A Z team has no offense and no defense. They had a 30 defense. I don't think it's going to get better with the new coach. New players. He doesn't know the players. You know, how good are they? Where should they play? So Central is going to be in for a long year, which is good for us. We'll be pounding against it. Our key is to find the A team or the over team in the MAC. And we can only bet against, we can't take Central against the other Z teams, Akron and Kent State. Z's play Z's. You got to leave them alone. Maybe go over on some of them. You take advantage when we get the A's or the over teams going against Central. So that's why it's important to know how to rank the teams so you know when do you bet against the Z. You got to find out who's the Z team and then how do you bet against them. Old Mississippi State and Southern Miss. Old Mississippi State's 11.5, 61.5. Southern Miss, as I said, he has the Marshall coach and quarterback, and the quarterback was 19-2 last year. 19 touchdowns, 2 picks. Marshall is a very strong team in the Sun Belt. Now, can they go up against Old Mississippi State, who was the worst team in the SEC? This I don't know. Old Mississippi State, uh, returning quarterback and coach. Southern Miss has the Marshall quarterback and coach, so it's kind of differentiated that way. Marshall was a B team last year with a 23 defense. Southern Miss had a 37 defense. So how quickly can he change it? And Old Mississippi State was an over team with a 34 defense. So they could score, but they couldn't stop the wind. Syracuse, Tennessee. Tennessee's got changed quarterbacks. They now have Joey Aguilar from App State, who is outstanding, great quarterback. Syracuse has a new quarterback, same coach. They both have the same coaches. Josh Heupel is an offensive coach, Tennessee's coach. And, this first game at Tennessee. Syracuse, they're a dome team. They like it at home. It'll be hot in Tennessee. Again, how good's the new quarterback? Who knows? This is the problem. This could be an easy over. The total on the game's 50, but how good is the Syracuse? We know how good the Tennessee is. So this is where, if this was week 5, we could, it's an easy over because Syracuse's quarterback's really good, but we don't know that. That's what we watch for, and that's what we rank it. So that's what we're looking at in this game. Although Tennessee, we have an idea, should be explosive with Aguilar and Josh Heupel, very good coach. Texas, Ohio State, the game of the day. Ohio State 1.5, 47.5. This has gone down. This was 2.5. This is where I brought to you the crowd, the emotion and the leader just yelling things. The sky is blue and all emotional, and that's what you have here with Texas and Arch Manning. He's the Heisman favorite. He's not even a top 10 quarterback. He's the Heisman favorite. Don't be stupid enough to bet him to win the Heisman. That's ridiculous. Now, if he puts up 35 points and throws for 400 yards against Ohio State, then you can bet him to win the Heisman. It ain't going to happen, but that's what you would need. So we look for that. We look for what we know is Ohio State lost their running backs and Ibaka. Texas lost their blue and a few other key players. So most importantly, they both lost their quarterbacks. This is not a game that the quarterback's going to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. That would be going against Purdue or going against Central Michigan because they can't stop you. Here, the defenses are 10 and 13. Ohio State was a 10 last year, Texas a 13. Now we know Ohio State lost Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator, to Oakland. So now we go, shit, their offense can't get any better, and they don't have a quarterback. How are they going to score? Texas, a killer defense also, but how is Arch Manning going to score? Right? Texas against Georgia, they didn't do anything. They didn't really have good games against the better defenses. And they got probably one of the top defenses in Ohio State with the 10 defense, right? So this is why it's the free pick, and this is why it's under, because just do the simple logic. Without quarterbacks, how are you going to score? They're not going to run on these teams. Both teams with the great defense. It'll be a close game. The coaches are not going to go on 4th down. They're not going to want to turn the ball over at their own 40 or at midfield. That this is a play, ball control. This is field position game. I got the ball at the 45, my 45, and it's 4th and 1. I'm punting the ball, and you can take it from the 5. And then my defense can hold you, and I get the ball right back here on 1st and 10. That's the Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler. We're going to play field position on you, and that's why they're so successful. Yeah, it looks good to go for it on 4th down, only against the weak defense. You want to do it against these defenses, I guarantee you're not going to make any of it. And all it does is give the other team emotion. And with the emotion, you're fucked, right? You don't want to lose the emotion and momentum in the game. Not in a game like this. So if conservative, easy passes, and we're going to punt. Each team will punt 8 times. The quarterback, and it's far easier to coach defense than it is offense. Defense is just emotion, and if you're fast, you just run after the offense. You got to figure things out. Well, can I play action pass? Are they going to go for it? No, they're not. Well, okay, we're fucked. So that final somewhere in there, 17-10. Neither team will get to 20. Arch Manning ain't going to do shit. And neither will whoever this new Ohio State quarterback, who's a backup for Milrose at Alabama. You think he's gonna light it up? The guy couldn't beat out Milrose for the job. This is the problem. You're telling Ohio State, Will Howard from Kansas State last year, they can't recruit a quarterback. Dang. And the problem, mistake they're making is he has to learn your system, right? You want a guy as a freshman, he's learning your system. Then when he gets a little bit older, as a sophomore or junior, he knows your system. You bring in these guys from the other systems, they don't know your system. This is the problem. That's what you got to really wonder about, is them learning your system. Can they learn this system? And is the system good for them? You're taking a lot of risks. Like Colorado, they're going from a passing system to now Mensu, who's a dual threat. Well, are they going to be able to, run a dual threat? All right. So Texas, Ohio, let's see, Old Dominion against Indiana. So we have Indiana. Shit, internet connection, don't go on me. Okay, I think I'm still on. Am I still on? Anybody? McFly? Am I still on? Am I still on? Close enough. All right. So I'm getting that message, but I'm not losing it. So that's okay. All right, back here. All right. So Old Dominion, Indiana. Indiana 22.5, 54.5. Indiana's a very good team because they have a very good coach. They've lost Curtis Rourke, who was a decent quarterback from Ohio. And now you've got Mendoza, who's a decent quarterback for Cal. He's nothing special. Indiana had a 14 defense, so the coach is a very good defensive coach. He was very good at James Madison as a defensive coach. Old D was not. They have a 28 defense. Both the quarterback and the coach for Old D's back, and the coach is for Indiana. And I told you Mendoza's not fit into this system is the question. My internet's slow. I apologize. Like I can control it. So we will see. Indiana at home, I think they have a 14 defense. It shouldn't change. Oh, but they had all these seniors that they brought in, and the transfer. Well, he also had other guys that are, I'm sure, pretty good, or he's replaced them, or he got more transfer guys, but he knows what to look for. So I think Indiana will be a good team this year. Mendoza's a good core. If you won with Rourke, you can win with Mendoza. Can they beat Ohio State? Well, they beat Michigan last year. Can they beat Ohio State? I love how nobody gives them credit for beating Michigan, who did beat, by the way, Ohio State. So nobody gives them credit for the Michigan win. It's just, oh, they lost to Ohio State. In a rainstorm on a drop punt, the punter dropped the ball and a punt return. Otherwise, they win the game. So it had nothing to do. It was just because of the rain. But otherwise, they didn't. They scored on them. They played very good. They scored on a 10 defense. They put up 15 points. So don't tell me they weren't very good. So I'm not buying that. Indiana could compete for the Big Ten depending on how their defense plays and how Mendoza. Georgia Marshall, as I said, we got Georgia with a new quarterback, new coach, and a new quarterback. Georgia with the new quarterback. Well, he played the last game. He didn't do much, but it was like a playoff game with Texas when Beck got hurt. Now the question is, why did Beck transfer? And how good is this? But at least he's in the system, and that's where my point is. He knows this system. So for him to walk in, well, he's already familiar with it. Is he going to be good or not in the system? He was. Well, we'll see. I'm sure it was good to be recruited by Georgia. They're not going to, but Marshall's lost their coach, the quarterback, and 47 players. That's why the spread's so high. So I don't know what to expect. The coach, it's his first time coaching, so that's a problem. Yeah, I think Georgia. I would bet they're shutting them out. The question is Georgia going to get 50 points? This I don't know. Stockton's good. They're going to be pissed off because they didn't win the title last year. So look for them. They do play LF fucking Bama revenge game also. We'll be keeping an eye on. So again, it's really to see Georgia's quarterback and if they got running backs, and then their defense will be outstanding as usual. And then the key is really going to be Marshall. They're going to shit. So we won't get a lot from Marshall. They're going to lose, 47-0. What are we going to pick up on them? Temple at UMass. Now, they're both Z teams last year. Temple got the Sam Houston coach. I don't know why I would leave Sam Houston for Temple. He did. They were pretty good. Look for the defense to get better for Temple. But we'll see. Again, the internet is fogged. Hopefully not too long. Hey, okay, so that was pretty short. So I should be okay. Yeah, see, I'm moving a little quicker. So look for Temple to be a better team this year, not a Z team, but they won't be. The spreads will be the same. Why they're favored here by 2.5? I'm surprised because it's at UMass. I would think UMass should have been a favorite, but we'll see. But we'll keep an eye on them. Alabama, Florida State. Alabama with the new quarterback, same coach. Florida State with the new quarterback, same coach. Alabama 13.5, 50. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how good Florida State's coach is. I get sure I'm on. Am I on? Guess that answers that question. So. All right. So that's what we don't know. I expect Alabama's quarterback to be better than Milrose, who sucked. Their defense should be pretty good. And Florida State has to get a better quarterback than Ugliabuglia. I noticed Ugliabuglia played threw 25 passes for San Diego in the last preseason game. We don't want to get anybody hurt. But if Ugliabuglia gets hurt, we won't care. I can't imagine making the team or being on any team in the NFL. I don't know why San Diego wasted the time with him. That shows you how bad San Diego's GM is. He didn't draft Brock Bowers, and then they're taking Ugliabuglia. You have to even look at Ugly Boogly. You don't know what the fuck you're doing, do you? And you got Trey Lance, who everybody knows sucks. So what are you doing? They got Justin Herbert and they got Heineken as the backup. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing there, but the guy's an idiot. So we'll see. Alabama should be explosive. How good's their defense? Florida State, how good's the new quarterback? He's from Boston College. He's average. Their defense is supposed to be very good. So this will be a good test. We'll get a good feel for Alabama. Blow them out 38-10. Possibly. Will they score on them? They should. What will Florida State do? I don't know. And this will be what we're looking at. That's why we're watching the game. Coastal Carolina, Virginia. We're watching for the Virginia quarterback who was a kid from North Texas who threw 35 touchdowns last year. I'm expecting Virginia to be much more explosive than last year. They have the same coach. So does Coastal Carolina, but they both have new quarterbacks. So Virginia, I would expect them to blow them out here because this quarterback's great. Now, will the system bother him? If it's the same system, they'll be okay. But keep an eye on the Virginia quarterback. Missouri State, USC. We really have no idea. Missouri State, they're Division II. I would expect USC to put up a 50 on them at least. Maya Villa is a very good quarterback from Vegas to SC. They started winning last year, the last few games when they had him as a full timer. And Miller Moss is transferred to somewhere. So keep your eye on SC. I think they'll have a big game. They'll want to start off strong at home. They'll kill Missouri State. Michigan, New Mexico, we're watching Underwear, seeing how he's a 5-star if he's any good. New Mexico, they lost Devin Dampier to Utah. Keep your eye on Utah. He's a very good quarterback. New coach, new quarterback. Who knows for New Mexico? I would say Michigan will shut them out, but I don't know how many points they're going to score. The total on the game is 50.5. So Underwear, he ain't going to be that good the first game. All right, we know that. He can't be. Never played college football. He's not playing against 17, 18-year-olds now. He's playing against 21, 22-year-olds. So this is a game to feed. Maybe you bet the under. I don't know. I haven't made a choice on the game. LSU Clemson, we got the two stud quarterbacks. Now, these two are both better than Arch Manning and whoever the Alabama-Ohio State quarterback is. Clay Kubiak did choke in the big game against Georgia last year in the week 1 and then in the playoff. Throws a lot of passes against weak defenses. LSU, Newsmeyer, very good quarterback. Chip Kelly, big game coach, or Brian Kelly. So we're looking. This should be a very interesting game. Clemson supposedly has some good defense. LSU's got offense. I'm not worried about that. LSU should have a good defense. They usually have good secondary guys and good line. They usually have a good defense. Last year's defense was a 22. It was a 24 for LSU. And you're playing Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. So, yeah, that's a real defense for LSU. So look for this game to be a very strong game. I expect both teams to score because they have the quarterbacks. So as I told you, Ohio State, Texas, neither team has a quarterback. How are you going to get points? In this game, both teams have excellent quarterbacks. That's how you're going to score. You can't stop an excellent quarterback unless you have Lawrence Taylor and the 85 Bears. So they'll be able to move the ball and score because of the excellent quarterbacks. Georgia State, Ole Miss, just keep an eye on Ole Miss's new quarterback. The coach is still there, so I don't know. And then not really looking at it to see Georgia State, but we'll see what maybe they have a new. That's a Greek god. They're a W team with a 33 defense. So look for Ole Miss to score a lot, but I don't know if it'll mean anything against this team. Colorado State, Washington, as I said, we got to keep an eye on the new Washington quarterback. He looks like a really good one. And their defense, supposedly they got a new defensive coordinator to fix the defense. They got a great coach from Arizona. Look for Washington to compete for the Big Ten championship. Colorado State, Colorado State. A lot of internet problems. I apologize. Colorado State was an E team last year with the 24 defense, and both coach and quarterback are back, although the quarterback wasn't that special. They're not a real special team. So not sure. Utah, UCLA. Utah has Devin Dampier, the quarterback from New Mexico, who's outstanding. A very good dual quarterback, a little bit better runner than thrower. Utah always with the fabulous defense. The coach is still there. UCLA got a new coach last year, and Deshaun Foster is in over his head. They lost their offensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator went to USC. And that's critical when we're looking at USC. They got the UCLA defensive coordinator, and they had a 14-15 defense with the guy. So look for Utah here with the strong defense, which is the key against UCLA. VTech, South Carolina. We know Norris at South Carolina. We don't know VTech. They're okay. South Carolina, clearly the better team at home with the better quarterback. What do we got here? South Carolina, an A team with an 18 defense. VTech was a B team with a 23 defense. Both coach and quarterback are back. So South Carolina, a good team with an 18 defense in Norris, and now has another year under his belt. That's why you don't transfer if you're the quarterback. The only ones that are transferring are the third stringers or the guys who can't start. Is that what you want? Do you want a guy who got beat out and is crying and now he's coming to your program to cry? I mean, these are not appetizing to get a new quarterback. A Dampier, okay, he left New Mexico because the coach went, and he goes to Utah, and they need a quarterback. They don't have, but otherwise, you don't. There's very few that are really out. Look at Uglia. He sucked at Clemson, sucked at Oregon State, and Florida State gets them. And what happens? They win 2 games because Uglia is there. Unbelievable. All right, Notre Dame, Miami. Notre Dame, strong defense. Last year, they had a 14 defense, and it's probably better. They got a great running back. They named this Carr guy a freshman quarterback. I don't know what he is. We'll see. Same coach, Miami, new quarterback with Carson Beck from Georgia, and the same coach. And we don't like the coach. Cristobal's got his head way up his ass. And I take you to the Georgia Tech game where he doesn't take a knee to win it. Unbelievable. That's why I love Georgia Tech, because they're smart, right? So this game, 2.5 and 49.5. I don't know what to tell you in this game. Carson Beck's okay. We don't know the Notre Dame quarterback, but we know Notre Dame's defense is going to come to play, and it's going to give Miami all they want. So this is, do we bet it under? Do we bet Notre Dame? This we don't know yet. And our last game, TCU, North Carolina. TCU 3.5, 58.5. TCU's very strong offense as always. Returning quarterback and coach. North Carolina, a new quarterback, and Monsieur Belichick as the coach. You know they'll have a good defense. That's about all you'll know from North Carolina. So you got to be careful in this game. You think TCU will blow them out, but Belichick, now, does Belichick have the players to run his defense? This is what we'll see. So let's quickly go through this. Let's look for either even games or teams with weak fans. So let's look for, we'll go dog hunting. Rutgers, Ohio. Maybe you take Ohio in 20.5. Now, these are not picks. I'm just looking for either weak favorites or good dogs. Ohio is a very good MAC team. Maybe they're a good dog here. Same thing with Buffalo, Minnesota, a good MAC team, but Minnesota's starting a freshman and they're laying 17 points. Maybe. I don't know, because I hate going up a class. So the MAC teams, you really don't want to bet necessarily against the Big Ten, but we'll see. Let's see. Weak favorite, I'd say Auburn, 2.5 over Baylor. I think Baylor is a very live dog in that game. The total 57.5 is doable. Again, these are not bets. These are not picks. I'm looking for weak dog or for strong dogs. I'd say Baylor's the strongest dog right now. Let's see if we can find something better. Colorado, Georgia Tech. I'm not all in on the Colorado without Prime Jr. and without the Heisman Trophy winner. Exactly how they'll be with the new quarterback who does. They don't know the system. Georgia Tech, I'm comfortable. If Georgia Tech was the dog, it would be a lock. If Colorado was 4, Georgia Tech would be a lock. They're the better team here with the better quarterback and the better coach. So I don't regard Colorado as a live dog here. Let's see. Fresno State and Georgia Southern. I actually think Georgia Southern's a live dog. Fresno State showed that they sucked. They lost 31-7 to Kansas, but they were in over their head. Here they get Georgia Southern. But Georgia Southern is a surprising team. Same coach and quarterback. Fresno State, we saw the new coach and the new quarterback. They didn't look good. So they're laying 2.5. So they're just going to pound out Georgia Southern, who is an over team. 27 defense, but they score. So a possible dog, because I think the Fresno State's a very weak favorite after watching the Kansas game. Ohio State, Texas. Texas is a live dog in the game. Ohio State with they're both new quarterback. Well, Arch Manning, I don't know. I think Texas could be a dog. Probably can Ohio State be fair, but it is at Ohio State. So, I'm not saying that Texas is a good dog to bet on. They're just a live dog because it's a good team. It's an even game. So when you get these even games, I like the dog usually. So it's A versus A, I think. It was last year. I think Southern Miss is a live dog against Old Mississippi State because of the whole Marshall plan coming in. And Old Mississippi State had a 34 defense. And you can't look at Southern Miss's 37 defense, but you can't really look at Marshall's 23 defense because what players does he have? Now, I'm sure he brought a lot of players with him, so they'll be familiar with the scheme. But I just think Southern Miss can score, and I like the coach, so they could. It's 11.5, but again, you're going up in class. You want Southern Miss in conference more than you want them against an SEC team. Alabama, Florida State. Florida State could be a live dog if the quarterback's any good. And we don't know. And we don't know how good Alabama's quarterback is. So week 1, maybe it's a live dog, but you really never want to bet against Alabama, as I've preached. So be careful there. LSU, Clemson. I think LSU is a live dog. I think Clemson, good quarterback. So does LSU. You got 2 good coaches. This could easily be a very close game. Notre Dame, Miami. I'm not sure if Miami's a live dog. They're a home. I don't even know if the game's in Miami. It might be at like the Georgia Dome or something. It's going to be tough because of Notre Dame defense for Miami to really score. I'm sure they'll blitz the shit out of Carson Beck. And Miami's coach is terrible. Their defense isn't that strong either. They gave up, 50 points to Syracuse. So Could be a live dog, but I don't know. And TCU, North Carolina, again, we don't have enough information. We don't know North Carolina's quarterback. We know Belichick's defense should keep it close, but TCU is so explosive. So there's not really the best game on the board was Iowa State, Kansas State, Iowa State as the live dog, and they got the win. So you're looking for even games. That's why I ranked the teams. A goes against A, Ohio State, Texas. You can probably bet the dog. That's what you're looking for. LSU and Clemson are pretty even. We're not sure about Alabama and Florida State because of the new players, and we're not sure Notre Dame, Miami. They're not the same as Ohio State, Texas, because they're pretty much the same. They both have new quarterbacks and a killer defense. So this is going to be punt and field position the whole game there. So that's what we have. I have more favorites that I like than live dogs or weak favorites. So the weakest favorite is probably Fresno State. And let's see. Weak favorite. Not a lot. Boy, it is really most of the favorites should be favored. Keep an eye on the Tulane Northwestern game. Maybe Tulane lost their quarterback. Tulane's average quarterback, and the coach is back. And Northwestern got Stone, the quarterback who was at SMU. He's a good one. He didn't play last year or whatever. And then the same coach who's not very good. He took over for the other guy. So look for that. We're trying to get Michigan and Ohio State and Texas and Alabama and Florida State. We're trying to understand them. How good is this new quarterback? And you've got to. This is like you give it this week for those teams. Now, the more Iowa States we find, we can bet them in week one. Rocco Beck's been there. The coach is great. Like Georgia Tech, we know what Georgia Tech is. We don't really know what Colorado is. They got a new – he won't be coaching his son. I mean, he's, who's out there? You won't know how to coach him. He runs a different he's a dual threat quarterback. Now you got teams like USC who are pissed off, Washington who is pissed off, Georgia who is pissed off, Alabama who's pissed off because they didn't win their title. I'm not sure. I think Georgia won their SEC because they beat Texas twice. But you have pissed off teams, and that's critical. You want to bet on those teams because they have a little motivation. Georgia, Alabama. I don't think Alabama made the playoffs, so look for Alabama to be really pissed this year. Can they do anything against LSU or against Florida State? I don't know, but when they get in against Old Mississippi State and Kentucky and teams like that, they're going to beat the shit out of them, provided the quarterback's good. All right, so that's your college football. Your free pick, again, is Ohio State, Texas under, two great defenses, which should still be great defenses, and we don't know. The quarterbacks are not very good. All right. Hey, Taiwan, how you doing? I hope you're well, and I don't know what you're going to do this year, but you're welcome to do what you want to do. Let's look at we looked at preseason football yesterday. Oh, wait a minute. There's a big note. Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin reportedly agreed to extension. Why are we not surprised? Do you honestly think a guy playing football gets 6-7 years in, making $20 million is going to sit out? I guarantee you Micah Parsons signs, McClellan just signed, somebody else signed. There is no way you can sit out and not make money. You've got, especially $20 million. You got to be out of your mind. Even though he's on the last year of a contract, then you shouldn't have signed it. So anyway, is this you, Pat, from Singapore? How the fuck do I got to Singapore? If it's you, Pat, give me a call back after class. Really not much to talk about the last week of preseason. Let's look at the standings. So let's go AFC first. Miami, New England, Buffalo, and the Jets. Buffalo, obviously the best team. The Jets will not win a game. New England, I don't think they'll be good, and Miami sucks. It's funny, when New England was winning it all the other teams sucked. Now that Buffalo's good, now all the other teams suck again. Miami with Tagliabue, Tyreek Hill's it. No defense. The Jets are just horrible. Somebody leaving? No, he didn't leave me a voicemail. I don't believe. Who's calling me from Singapore? Jesus. So I think you're looking, the Jets are the Z team there, and I'm not quite sure if Miami's going to be an over team with Tyreek Hill. New England, I don't know. Vrabel will have their defense playing better. I don't like the receiver they drafted, and I do not like Drake May. So we're not sure. There'll probably be a W team, and Buffalo's the A team there. And it's critical to find the Z teams because that's who we want to bet against. It's all art of war. You want to bet against weakness, and you want the A teams. You don't want to bet against the strength. You want the strength against the weakness. So we get Buffalo twice against the Jets. The AFC North, Baltimore, A team. Cleveland, probably a Z. Pittsburgh will be an A team as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy with Metcalf. And Cincinnati will be an A team. You watch. Hendrickson will sign. Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins have already signed, and the tight end. Look for Cincinnati. They are pissed off, right? They didn't make the playoffs, and they started slow. They will not start slow. You've seen Burrow in these preseason games. He played the whole first half in the second game, and he threw a great touchdown on early in the second quarter. I mean, it was like, no, we're going to play. So look out for that. They are going to be really pissed, Cincinnati, and so will Pittsburgh. Baltimore, I don't know. I mean, they're getting tired of losing with Lamar, so he's not as good as you think. He shot puts the ball. He's a very bad quarterback. He runs, but you think they're going to take that away. But the problem is they play zone, and then the receivers cut across. And these teams don't know how to play a zone defense. It's really ridiculous. AFC South, the worst division, and I don't think they could win in the Big Ten. Tennessee, a Z team. I don't think they'll win a game. Houston, the best team by default. Good defense. I'm not a CJ Stroud fan. Indy, Daniel Jones. Seriously. They'll win when Riley Leonard or Bean comes out. When Daniel Jones is there, they're not going to win a game. Jacksonville sucks. Trevor Lawrence sucks. I hear it on the radio. Oh, he was supposed to be here. What were you watching? He didn't do anything at Clemson. He ran a little bit, but he was not a great throwing quarterback. So Jacksonville and Indy are terrible teams, and so is Tennessee. So by default, Houston will win. And the only reason these guys are going to win is they play each other. Jacksonville plays Indy twice, so somebody's got to win. The key is watching them out of conference. AFC West, best division. Denver, an A team. Kansas City, an A team, obviously. San Diego, a B team. They just don't get it. Harbaugh just doesn't get it. And Oakland, with Chip Kelly and Coach Pete, will be better than you think. Unfortunately, if they were in the AFC South, they'd win it, but they're in the AFC West, and they got to play KC and San Diego. That's 6 games. They'll be lucky to go 3-3. So they got to win the first game against New England. They got to win that one. So look for Oakland to maybe be an even team, score 20-something a game with Chip Kelly, but give up 20-something a game because they just don't have enough defense. Then we go to the NFC. Good division here. Philly, the A team, obviously. The Giants will be much better with Scatterboo and Russell Wilson. They will not be a terrible team. They'll score a lot. Also, how good's their defense? I don't know, but they'll be a 9-8 type of team. Dallas, now with that Prescott, I guarantee you Micah Parsons will sign. He's not going to turn away from $20 million. Trade me. I don't have to trade you. You're under contract, so shut the fuck up and play, or if you don't want to play, you don't get paid. Who doesn't want 20 million? It's like, what would you do for 20 million? I mean, and I'd play football, right? So Washington, outstanding. They should be an over team. The question will be how strong their defense gets. We know Penix. They just signed McLaurin. They got running backs out their ass. They got a wide receiver who won't even make the team, who's a superstar. So look for Washington to put up 40 a game, and the question is going to be, can they get a 20 defense? To get a 20 defense, they can play with Philly. And they got to stop the run because they can't stop Barkley. That's the key. But Washington should be very good. So you got Philly, the A team, Washington, the over team, the Giants, probably a B team, and Dallas will be like a W team. Dak Prescott's terrible. Good defense to a time, but the problem is Dak throws all the interceptions, so you're playing a short field. You get down and you give up. The NFC North, pretty weak division. The Bears probably won't win until they bring in Wagner. They won't win with Caleb. Green Bay, I don't love. The coach, the defense is how good they are. They're probably a B team. Minnesota, a great defense. They're going to be an under team. No J.J. McCarthy's not your answer at quarterback. To not play him in the preseason was really stupid. You played him last year and he hurts his knee, so you're scared to play him. He's got no experience. He's not going to do shit. He has no timing with Jefferson. You can't get it in practice. You got to get it in the game when they're blitzing you and they're double teaming Jefferson, which I'm sure they're not doing in practice. And then Detroit. I don't know what they're going to be. They might only win 5 or 6 games this year. You've got no offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. They both suck based on the preseason. So you say to me, well, it's preseason. I said, well, let's look at the Bears. The Bears scored 90 points in they scored 30 points a game in the preseason with Ben Johnson. So they scored. So wait a minute. Detroit scored 48 points in their 4 games. 4 games, they got 12 points a game. That's a problem. You got a terrible offensive coordinator, but you don't want to admit it because it's preseason and it's not one. Well, you don't just turn a switch. Golf is still terrible, and then you got St. Thomas is okay, and the running backs are okay, but it's getting old. You've lost your center and your guard, so don't tell me you're the same team. Defensively, Hutchinson is not ready to go, but he'll say it. That's what I go back to not thinking. I'm thinking Hutchinson broke his leg in 2 places. There's no way this guy is going to be ready under a year. He might say he is. This is pro football. This isn't, just walking around the lake. If he does play, I'm the other team. I'm going after his leg. I'm breaking it again. That's how you play football. This isn't a gentleman's sport. It's not tennis. Very weak defense is what they're showed, and we don't know how good the offense is going to be. Losing the center and the guard, and then the new offensive coordinator looks terrible. So you got big coordinator problems, and I'm not sure. Golf was comfortable in that offense, but now he's got a new offense to get comfortable in. And the way they made Hooker look, Hooker's much better than he looked. They made him look terrible. I think I had this thought in my mind that they made him look bad so nobody else would want him, and then he could stay as the backup because he's very good. Ask Alabama 50-49 how good he is. So I'm tired of defending him. He's much better than he looks. He's confused because the offensive coordinator's got his head up his ass, and the defensive coordinator isn't much better, even though it's 3rd and 4th string. Well, let's look at Minnesota. They played their 4 strings. They only gave up 53 points. Detroit, 94. Detroit gave up 94 and made Quentin Ewers look good on Miami, and they made whatchamacallit look good. Trey Lance looked good at San Diego, who sucks. Didn't do anything else the whole preseason, and yet the Lions made him look like an all-pro. So you think they're just going to turn it on and be good? I'm not buying it. I'm going to give them maybe an overgrade. They'll have maybe a good offense and a terrible defense. I don't care Hudson Sitter Dot. He's one player. They'll double team him. Now what? Who else you got? Oh, yeah, nobody. NFC South, very good. Atlanta an A team, Tampa an A team. New Orleans is a Z and Carolina is a Z. So we're just going to be pounding against New Orleans and Carolina. You do not win with Spencer Rattler, and you do not win with Tyler Shaw. You do win with Hayner, but I don't see him mentioned. He's their best quarterback. Carolina, Bryce Young's terrible. Their defense is terrible. Tampa with the Baker and Atlanta with Penix should be really good teams. And then the NFC West, which is a very good division. The Rams, solid A team, good defense, good running. Stafford, Puka-Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Sean McVay. You got a great team there. The Niners, you got Purdy, you got McCaffrey. Their problem's going to be receivers. Their defense, they did lose Greenwood and another, or Greenleaf, or whatever his name is. But they did draft, so we'll see. They normally have a pretty good defense, so I think they're maybe a B team. They'll rely on McCaffrey, who's great. Arizona, I don't know who they are. Marvin Harrison's a bust. Kyler Murray never does anything. It's really difficult. They don't have much of a defense. It's all Kyler Murray, basically. And if Harrison can't catch a fade, back shoulder fade, then I don't know what he's doing out there. So we'll see. Maybe they'll be a little bit better. The coach still stinks. And Seattle, I hate the coach. You've got good running and the guy from Michigan State, the quarterback, Darnold. All you got to do is blitz him and he falls apart. Their defense is weak. I don't know. Maybe they'll be an E team. You can't lose DK Metcalf and Lockett and think you have passing. The Ohio State guy is not very good. So I don't know. Seattle has taken 2 or 3 steps back to get rid of Coach Pete for this idiot. Big mistake. So Darnold, okay, he looked good on Minnesota because he had Justin Jefferson. Hello, but put him in a playoff game or that 1 seed game against Detroit where he got sacked 22 times, couldn't read a blitz, couldn't throw the ball to Jefferson wide open in the end zone twice, and then in the playoffs got crushed by the did they get crushed by the Rams? Oh, yeah, Minnesota got crushed by the Rams. They blitzed the hell out of him, and he fell apart. So Sam Darnold is not good under pressure. What is Seattle thinking? So all these quarterback changes, I don't really understand what the hell they're doing. That's the NFL. It's too early to really go through the lines. I'm sure they haven't changed yet. All right, let's look at the baseball picks. All right, yesterday's games. How the hell did we do? So we had Paul Scanes yesterday, and Paul Scanes won 4-0. He did exactly what he should do, an under game and a shutout. Paul Scanes, 8-9 with the 207. Amazing he's 8-9, but another winner. Philadelphia, they win 3-2. The Ranger gets his win. He's got a 3.07 ERA, so that's another winner. We had the Jets, Mets. They lose 4-3 to Atlanta. We have Baltimore. They beat Houston 3-2. Spencer Spaghetti 1-5 with a 6-2-1, and he's got 3 runs on him. Amazing. Miami wins 5-3. We don't have them. KC beats Detroit. We did have KC 10-8. Betting against Jack Flaherty 7-13 with the 4.87. White Sox win 8-0. Texas 5-0. We hit Texas, who was on the streak. And the only reason we bet them, they were on the streak. The Cubs and the Angels, we don't play. The Cubs win 4-3. Cincinnati 6, Arizona 1. We have Arizona on the streak and we lose. The Dodgers, San Diego, we lose it. We had the Dodgers under 8, then we changed it to San Diego because they were the streak and the streak ended. And that is it. So the streak we hit the streak with Texas. We lost with Arizona and San Diego. So again, on Sunday, the streak ends. So we're not going to play streaks on Sunday anymore. Seattle beat Oakland 11-4, and the Yankees 7 to Boston 2. So we go 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 5-3. So not a bad day, but not a streak day. All right. So let's go to today. Okay, we got today is 8/25, coming up on month end soon. Gold and silver should start dropping soon because it's month end for no other reason. It's manipulated. Boston, Baltimore, Brendan Bernardino, 4-2 with the 2.93 for Boston. Tommy Sugar, 10-5 with the 3.97 for Baltimore. Total Boston 120-9. It's at Baltimore, so there's no Green Monster. I don't know. I don't like it. Atlanta, Miami, Spencer Strider for Atlanta, 5-11 with 5-2. What are these guys doing in the majors? Edward Cabrera, 6-7 with the 3.52. How am I going to bet this crap? Tampa Bay, Cleveland. Tampa Bay, 102.7.5. Ian Seymour, who is this guy? 1-0 with the 3.86. Tanner Bibby, he's all over the place, 9-9 with 4.62. I don't like it. Washington at the Yankees. Brad Lord for Washington, 4-6, 3.46. Cam Schittler for the Yanks, 1-2 with the 3.22. I don't want anything to do with it. Hey, Ryan, how are you today? We're getting ready for football. Here we go. Minnesota, Toronto. Toronto 145.7. Joe Ryan, 12-6 with the 2.96. Max Scherzer, 4-2 with the 3.60, which is more like a 2-0. His first game or two was shaky, and then he's been mowing him down. This is our first bet. We're going Toronto under 7.5. In this one, we got to like the under here. Philly and the Mets. Philly 137.5. Christopher Sanchez. Philly's so loaded with pitchers, although they did lose Zach Wheeler, unfortunately. 11-4 with the 2.46. Kunya Senga, 7-5 with a 2.58. We're going to go Philly under 7.5. I like this one. Very good game. The Mets 69-61, Philly 76-54. So it should be interesting. Ryan, love it. Thought I'd listen to some knowledge while I try and change my tires on the truck. Very good idea. And it's very few and far between who actually give you knowledge nowadays. Most of them are, like I said, are doing the emotion. We're make America great again. Yeah, and everybody's supposed to just listen. Oh, and the tariffs are great, and we're not in a depression. Oh, everything's fine. Question always. Arizona, Milwaukee. Milwaukee 190-8. Eduardo Rodriguez 5-7, 5.40. Brandon Woodruff. We're going to take Milwaukee. They've been so hot. Let's go them as they build another 15-game win streak. KC and the White Sox. Boy, KC against the Tigers. They did win yesterday 10-8. I was happy to see that. KC 138.5. Noah Cameron 7-5, 2.53. Shane Smith 3-7, 4.12. I don't know. I don't trust KC after watching what they did. Pitt and St. Louis. Well, we know Scanes pitched yesterday. St. Louis 137.5. Johan Oviedo 1-0 with the 4.50 against Michael McCreevy 5-2, 4.26. No, thank you. California and Texas, Jose Soriano, 8-9 with the 4 for California. And Jacob deGrom for Texas. So we're going to take Texas with Jacob deGrom, superstar, 2 units, 2.7, 10-5 with a 2.7. That's a major league pitcher, not the guy who's 5-15 with a 5 ERA. What is he doing in the majors? The biggest problem in Major League Baseball, there's not enough good pitchers. Each team wants to have 5 or 6 starters who go every 5th day, and then they want to have 6, 7 guys in the bullpen. So let's say that's 11 pitchers times 30 teams is 430 pitchers. Where the fuck are you getting 430 pitchers? There are not 430 major league pitchers. There's not 100 good major league pitchers, and you're trying to. So you got these minor leaguers playing. It's just a joke. Okay, San Diego, Seattle 130-8. JP Sears 8-10, 494. Bryce Miller 2-5, 587. No, sorry. Detroit at Oakland. We got Skubal for Detroit 11-3 with a 2.32 against JT Ginn 2-5, 495. Have to take Skubal with Detroit. The problem is they're going on the West Coast after playing in Detroit. They will be very tired. Are they smart enough to have Skubal fly out like Saturday? Not yesterday, but Saturday. He should have been in Oakland on Saturday, getting comfortable with the time zone. I doubt Detroit's that smart. And our last game, Cincinnati at the Dodgers. The Dodgers 140-8. Oh, good matchup. Hunter Green, 5-3, 263. Goes against Emmett Sheehan, 4-2-4. We're going to take Cincinnati here. I like Hunter Green. All right, let's see. Do we have any streaks still remaining? I know most got blown up yesterday. Let's see. 5-game. Cleveland's on a 5-game losing streak. So I think they play Kansas City. So we can take KC. And that's it. So who's Cleveland playing? Tampa Bay. All right. So we got to add Tampa Bay to the list. 2 units. Do we like it? Jane Seymour 1-0 with a 3.86 against Tanner Bibby 9-9, 4.62. I don't know. Who's this Ian Seymour guy? National League, any streaks? Busted. Milwaukee's not. Pittsburgh's on a 4-game winning streak. And Colorado's on a 4-game losing streak. So do we want to go against, or do we want to take Pitt or go against Colorado? Let's see if it makes sense. Pitt's at St. Louis. St. Louis 130. Johan Oviedo 1-0 with the 4.50. Now I'm not crazy about Pitt. Colorado going against. I missed the game, or they're not playing. No, they're not playing. Okay. Almost everybody's playing, but poor Colorado. No. Don't see them. So those are your streaks. So the only one we'll play is Tampa going against whoever the hell they're going. Cleveland, I think. Cleveland's falling off the table. They got hot, got against Detroit, but then they're falling apart. So Toronto under 7.5, Philly under 7.5, Milwaukee, Texas, Detroit, Cincinnati, and Tampa Bay. We got Cincinnati's ace, Detroit's ace, Jacob deGrom. We got Philly and the Mets with both their 2.5 ERA pitchers. And I think the same with Toronto. Toronto, it's Joe Ryan and Max Scherzer. So we got 4 or 5 games where we got the aces going against each other. So they're good under games. So that is baseball, and that is we covered college football thoroughly, and we covered a little of the NFL. We did look a little bit at gold. There's one Africa one I want to show you, and then we will end the class. Africa. So Africa goes gold.
Get more for less with Tim Hortons $1, $2, $3 menu. Order any size beverage. And add a favorite, like populism. One Africa, one passport, one currency, one economy. With that single declaration, Captain Ibrahim Traore disrupted the African Union's closed-door meeting. No raised symbols, no staged theatrics, just words sharp enough to cut through decades of silence. The room froze. Some leaders leaned forward with guarded hope. Others stiffened in alarm. Outside, the world had no idea what had just been said. Because this was more than a proposal, it was the unveiling of a secret long hidden behind the curtains of politics. What does it mean when a young leader dares to challenge the very legacy of Berlin, 1884? Can the dream of Afro money and a borderless continent survive the weight of entrenched interests? Or will it be crushed before it begins? This is not entertainment. It is a revelation of the power struggles, the betrayals, and the quiet war for Africa's soul. A story carefully concealed from public view until now. If you believe Africa's awakening has already begun, subscribe and follow this journey to its end. The truth hidden behind political curtains is about to be revealed. The African Union's closed-door session began under the shadow of troubling data. Reports presented to the delegates revealed an uncomfortable truth. Despite decades of independence and repeated promises of integration, Africa remains deeply fragmented. As of the year 2023, intra-African trade accounted for only 15% of the continent's total trade volume. In numbers, that is approximately 192 billion United States dollars in goods exchanged between African nations. By comparison, intra-European trade accounts for nearly 70%, and intra-Asian trade surpasses 50%. These numbers are not abstract. They reflect daily realities. Millions of African producers and consumers forced to look outward rather than inward, bound by lines drawn in a European conference hall in the year 1884. The room listened as Ibrahim Traore spoke in a steady voice. Borders, he said, are more than geography. They are chains forged in Berlin, reinforced through colonial currencies, and still defended by systems that reward dependency. He pointed out that the African Union had already introduced the concept of a common passport in the year 2016 in Kigali, Rwanda, yet almost a decade later, the project remains stalled, symbolic at best, far from the promise of real mobility for ordinary Africans. Then came his sharpest challenge, the proposal for Afro money, a single African currency, backed not by foreign treasuries but by Africa's own resources, gold, oil, fertile farmland. Traore.
So they're going gold back. So Africa's gold back. China and Brics are gold back. Bingo. Here goes gold. And that's why we're glad we own it now. We don't want to be last on the boat, right? We want to get on that we want to get on the lifeboat as soon as we know that the ship is sinking. We don't want to. So we wanted to buy gold at 500, at 1,000. We got in about 15, 1,700, except for this. I got it for 250 an ounce, but that's really what we want. And so here's some more. Gold backed currency destroys the US dollar, because would you want monopoly money or do you want gold? And everybody wants gold. That's the idea of it. And the price has to go up because, again, there's more value for gold, and the dollar is going to lose even more value because who wants it? Ryan, Africa will be a gold mine as far as food production if weather conditions continue with current projections. Well, and they got everything. They got the oil. I think Russia found like 70 billion barrels of oil there. That was probably held by the French. They're kicking the French and the U.S. out. Trump went in and said, oh, you've got to give us all your gold, or you got to pay up your IMF debts or whatever. And they just basically told Trump to fuck off. This guy's really good. I like this guy, this Captain whatever, Traore. But they've got gold. They've got all the minerals, everything that they need. Yeah, they'll plant the food. I mean, who knows what's happening with the food now? It's crazy. But it's just another thing I wanted to express is the gold, another gold-backed currency, and there's nothing that the U.S. has been blocking them. Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, they're killing them and preventing the gold, and that's what COMEX is. COMEX is about keeping the gold price down, so you're not interested in it because we're all too stupid to think on our own. We just go, oh yeah, gold's bad. I guess we won't buy it. So that's why when I go to the hot tub or I talk gold with people, they look at me like I'm fucking nuts because the story's been don't buy gold, don't buy gold. And they don't ask questions. They just go, what do I do with my money? Well, put it in a real estate trust, put it in an annuity, put it in the stock market. But you don't want to be in gold. And now the story is Bitcoin. Put it in Bitcoin. And you're like, no, Bitcoin's not real. See, it's hard for me when I explain it because people are, well, look at it, it's 115,000 or whatever it's at today. Who knows? It moves $4,000 a day up or down, not stable, not money. It's only money if it's acceptable. So if you could take a Bitcoin and go to Kroger's and buy groceries, it's money. You can't. Maybe there's one restaurant that'll take it or one little grocery store that'll take it because the guy wants Bitcoin. But in the real world, it's not money. It never has been. It's definitely not gold. So I don't know what these people are doing. But yes, Africa is a gold mine. They have plenty of gold, and the U.S. and France have been stealing it. I don't know what the U.S. is doing with it because we don't have any gold here. How do we not have gold in Fort Knox when we've been stealing it from the Africans for 100 years? So we just get it and we sell it because we don't want the gold either. All right. So that's what I wanted you to see there. Trump tried to force him to agree to something, which he said no. He just laughed at Trump. Like Trump sent a letter that you got to give us all your gold. And he just said, fuck you. My kind of guy. I showed you the game theory channel. This is a pretty good, it's called The Grim. It's kind of stoic. It's a very good, this guy's Russian, but he does a very good job. I showed you this one on mind control, where it's by, let me show you this one again. It's a really good one. It's only 5 minutes, but you'll get so much out of it.
Now we got to go help people customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Liebe, where's the golf cart?
There is a powerful book that tells you everything about controlling and influencing the masses. It is a manual for manipulating human behavior worldwide. It was the favorite book of this dark soul. And if you understand it, you can protect yourself from the Suki that try to take everything from you, just like they have done before. Here is what you need to know. Let me give you 7 central thoughts of this powerful book. At the end of this, I will reveal the name of it. Mass manipulation rule number 1. Crowds obey simple emotions, not logic. In crowds, it is emotion, not reason, that dominate. The collective mind is purely emotional. Crowds are controlled through fear, anger, and excitement. Rational arguments are ignored, while strong emotions spread rapidly. Mass manipulation rule number 2. Repetition creates belief. Affirmation, pure and simple, kept free of all reasoning and all proof, is one of the surest means of making an idea enter the mind of crowds. The key to manipulating crowds is to repeat a statement over and over, without explanation or evidence. Repetition hardwires it into the collective mind. Mass manipulation rule number 3. Visual symbols overpower words. Crowds, being only capable of thinking in images, are only to be impressed by images. Crowds react to strong visuals and symbols far more than complex ideas or arguments. What they see shapes what they believe. Mass manipulation rule number 4. Prestige paralyzes judgment. The special characteristic of prestige is to prevent us seeing things as they are and to entirely paralyze our judgment. When a person, institution, or idea is seen as prestigious, it silences doubt and critical thinking. Prestige blinds the crowd to reality. Mass manipulation rule number 5. Leaders mold the crowd's will. The crowd is led by the unconscious, but directed by a leader whose will has become its own. A leader doesn't argue or debate with a crowd. Instead, they embody the crowd's emotions, amplifying its desires and focusing its energy. And it doesn't matter if the leader has no experience or merit. Mass manipulation rule number 6. Crowds worship absolute certainty. Crowds are only to be influenced by ideas that are absolute, uncompromising, and simple. Masses don't like nuance. They like simple black and white ideas presented with a total conviction. Doubt and complexity weakens influence. And finally, of course, mass manipulation rule number 7. Illusions seduce crowds more than truth. Crowds have never thirsted after truth. They turn aside from evidence that is not to their taste, preferring to defy error, if error seduces them. Facts don't matter if they contradict the crowd's feeling. A convincing illusion will always win over uncomfortable truths. The book that reveals all of this is The Crowd, a study of the popular mind by Gustave Le Bon, written in 1895. This is powerful knowledge. But understand this. Knowledge is more powerful if you read it, discuss it, and apply it in a circle of trusted, like-minded people. GRIM stands for free minds, classic values, and relentless cooperation. We need each other in grim times. Be honorable.
Be honorable. And see, this is why we struggle when we talk about gold and silver. It's good here because everybody understands gold or silver or the football or whatever we talk about. But if I go into the pool and I start talking gold, the guy doesn't want to hear the truth. This is what I've discovered by watching this. The crowd thinks Trump's great. The crowd thinks tariffs are good. The crowd thinks inflation's low. They're all lies. But the way they're said, the crowd just goes along with it. The crowd does not want to hear truth, right? And so when I tell the truth, the dollar's collapsed, gold and silver, the only place to go, or a Rolex or a Mantle card, get out of money, get out of stocks. People don't want to hear it because it's not part of what the crowd has been told. And that's the problem. I just told you Africa's on the gold standard. You think you're going to hear that anywhere else? You're not going to hear it. They don't want that out. They don't want to hear that the dollar is not the reserve currency. How many times do we hear, well, they're still on the petrodollar and the dollar is the reserve currency? And we go, what's the difference? You printed $170 trillion. They're not worth anything. But nobody wants to hear that. They just want to hear we're the reserve currency and we're okay. And look at our stock market. I want to be in Bitcoin because Bitcoin, how many times have we heard that? Well, Bitcoin's 110,000. I want to be in it because it's making money. Why do you want to be in it? Well, I don't know, but I know it makes money. I know it goes up in value. So I want to be in Bitcoin because of that. You're scratching your head going, but it's not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. There's nothing, you can't even see it or touch it. I mean, what is it? See, we're using logic and we're using truth, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear to buy gold and silver. They don't want to hear the dollar's worthless because they're all fucking brainwashed. And now I understand why we have the difficulty, as you will also, trying to tell people to buy gold, because they're all brainwashed as part of the crowd to believe Trump when tariffs are good and inflation's low and we're the best economy in the world. Fuck, we're not the best economy. We're the worst. Our dollar's worthless. But nobody will listen because it's the truth, but it's not what they're being told. And they're all a bunch of fucking matrix. Talk about being in the matrix. That's exactly what it is, right? Everybody is told how to act, not to think, no critical thinking going on. So you're not even questioning the leader saying, oh, tariffs are good. Tariffs are terrible. Tariffs raise costs. Maybe they raise prices, but they raise costs, which either puts companies out of business, it puts people unemployed, and maybe you'll pay more for the good. I doubt that, because when steaks hit $20 because of tariffs, you can say, fuck you, I'm not buying it. That's why you can't just raise prices. Ryan, hit nail on the head. I get that blank stare like a deer in the headlights anytime I talk. Well, I exactly, because people aren't trained to think. I have another video on that, but I don't know if we have time, but what the fuck. The death of thought. It's 24 minutes. I don't want to get too much into that. I think I'll do that on a separate one. But this is the problem. People are not trained to go to school. They're not trained to think anymore. They're not, what am I, a critical thinker? I question, why is gold 2,000 an ounce? Why is silver 28? I question, oh, it's because of COMEX. Oh, because they're price fixing. Oh, I get the answers. But most people don't know. Well, gold, why would you want gold? It doesn't move. Do you know why it doesn't move? No. I told you I was in an interview and the guy says, you're getting questions. I says, well, do you understand why gold's 2,500 an ounce? And he said, no. And like I said, I should have got up and left, because why would I want to work for an idiot? I didn't get the job, but he oh no, why is it? I go, because it's all fixed. And you didn't want to hear the truth. People don't want to hear the truth because they're getting the lies and they're comfortable. People want to be comforted. Ryan, got my mother-in-law to buy 50 ounces of silver years ago. She's asking me, is it time to sell? I give that same blank stare back. Aren't they happy that it's worth so much? Again, but she doesn't know. She doesn't understand silver. She doesn't understand this is monopoly money. This is the hardest part to crack, is that this is monopoly money and it's worthless. As is this. As is your British pound. As Pat told us, our buddy from Singapore yesterday, the British pound is gone and they're asking the IMF for a bailout. That's the British pound. The euro's there, the dollar, the Canadian dollar, the yuan, the ruble, they're all worthless. Okay. But people, that's the hardest nut to crack, is to say it's worthless. Egon, every currency in the history of life that is not backed by gold goes to zero. And yet it's still not good enough. People just don't quite follow that. They can't understand it. Oh, why would the government lie to us? Why would the government tell us the truth? They comfort us. That's what they're trying to do. So your mom still doesn't, your mother-in-law still doesn't get the idea that the dollar's worthless. That's why you hold on to your gold and silver. Silver's going to be 1,000 to 2,000 an ounce soon, and then probably up to 5,000 an ounce over the long course. And they still don't get it, right? Oh no, it's only been 50. It's a manipulated 50. That's an option price fixed. It's a paper 50. You've never had a physical price of silver. It is so much higher because they keep manipulating it. They keep pushing it down, but it's not being put down. That's why I laugh at these silver squeezers. Well, we'll do a silver. Everybody will buy an ounce of silver. Everybody could buy 10 tons of silver. Everybody, and the price wouldn't move, because that's not how it's priced. It's priced in options and derivatives. It is not priced physically. So you're wasting your time buying silver, expecting the price to go up. In fact, as they lower the price, you should be buying hand over fist. So your mother-in-law should be buying it at that cheap price. But clearly she doesn't understand it. But just tell her, no, hold on to it. Tell her, just give her a wink. When it hits 1,000 an ounce, then you can sell some. Nope. What's nope, Brian? I don't know what you're noping. But that's the problem is they don't get it. Probably they don't get it. So they don't understand this monopoly money is probably what you're saying. She don't get it. Yeah. I mean, all you can do is say this is worthless. This is monopoly money. That's why when you go to the grocery store, everything's more expensive. Do you think every item at the grocery store went up in price because they all wanted to raise their price, or was it because the dollar's worth less? So really, it's just the dollar's lost its value, and it takes more dollars to buy. Explain gold to her. The best way that I did it is say gold was $35 an ounce in 1971 or two, whatever, and now it's $3,400 an ounce. It's still an ounce of gold that hasn't moved. It just takes more dollars to buy the ounce of gold because the dollar's lost its value. Now, still, I argue that the 3,400 isn't the correct price. I do get that part. So let her see that the value of the dollar has dropped because it's 35 for an ounce is now 3,400 for an ounce. Maybe she'll get that. Most people, the light bulb comes on when they see that. But you can see why you're getting the argument back, or the light doesn't come on, because they're being told to be in the stock market and be in Bitcoin, and digital is the way to go. But they're not asking why. I would never be in digital. They can pull the plug and it's gone. Stable coins. How about the Trump stable coin? Came out at $60. I don't even know if it's whatever it is. It's not an ounce. It's not a coin. Came out at $60. It's now $5. What do you think is going to happen to stable coin? That's your digital coin. It's all a fantasy. It's all a Ponzi scheme, but nobody asked the question. I showed you one on one coin with that woman, the Romanian woman. It was all fake. There was no one coin, but she says, oh, it's going to be Bitcoin. And it got all emotional. And the problem is she sold it to the Russian mafia. And then when she announced it's not real, I don't have any one coin. That's what happened. So once she saw that, the Russian mafia killed her, and everybody lost $1 billion because they never asked the question. Teaching class now, D. Just a second. Anyway, sorry. She's in Russia, so we got to. So let's see. Maybe we can do 5 minutes of this. The death of thought. Well, I think I just explained it. So it's basically people aren't capable of thinking on their own, critical thinking like we are. That's the basis and thesis of this class, is to question and to understand. And when the boat hits an iceberg, the thought is it's going to sink. We got to get off the boat. So we're thinking, what do we need to do? And then we got to get on the lifeboat. When the dollar gets printed to death and they stop the FX with the trade in Brics and the gold-backed currencies, and the petrodollar's gone, what do we do? The dollar's sinking. Oh, is there another dollar we can go to? No, because they're all the same. Oh, okay. Then we're forced. The only option is gold and silver. And like I said, a Mano card, but basically gold and silver. That's your lifeboat. So we're critically thinking the dollar's dead. What do? We go into gold. We go into the lifeboat, which is the only lifeboat is gold and silver. Africa is on the gold standard now. Why? Why the gold standard? Why not the Bitcoin standard? The whole Brics is on gold-backed currency for the trade. Brazil and Saudi Arabia and Dubai and China and Russia and India. Why are they on gold if it's not worth anything? Why are they getting out of dollars if the dollar's so fantastic? That's the critical thinking that you need to ask, but yet that's not the critical thinking they have. Oh, here's one. Japan joined BRICS now, apparently. So now even Japan's figured it out. But we'll do the death of thought. Well, we'll do it the next show. I'll start off with it. But it's because of the masses and because of everything, people don't want to think. They just want to have their thoughts stopped by somebody else. So somebody tells you, oh, tariffs are good. Oh, inflation's 2%. That's the biggest horseshit lie in the world. Inflation's 2%. It's over 1,000%. Because you don't do it year by year. Is anybody questioning why is it year over year? I can give you gold, silver, a house, and a car, and you're going to get 4 different inflation numbers since 1972. So how do you measure inflation? And why do you measure it year over year? To see that the money's worthless more one year than the next? But you got to go back to the coming off the gold standard in 1971 or 72, whatever it was. That's what you started from. $34 an ounce. Now it's $3,400. That's 9,000%. That's your inflation rate in gold. Now silver's a different inflation rate. They're all different because there's no one way to determine price. Price does not give you inflation. The printing of the dollar gives you inflation, but you gotta think logically. Does anybody, when they say inflation's 2%, does anybody question it? No, everybody just accepts it. Oh, we're okay. My dollar's good. I'll keep it in the stock market. And you're getting so fucked if you don't think, because you're thinking, well, the inflation's low. I'll keep my money in the stocks. Look at them. They're just going to keep going up. That's the best thing is people don't understand that the stocks are not just going to keep going up, and Bitcoin's not going to just keep going up. These will drop. Milwaukee won 15 in a row. Now they lost 3 in a row. Red can hit it roulette 25 times in a row. It's not going to go 100 times in a row. Or if it does, I want to be there because I'll just keep betting the shit out of red. But black's going to hit. A quarter's not going to come heads every time. It's going to come heads 50 and tails 50. So if you think Bitcoin's just going to keep going up, if you believe you're not questioning it. You've got to question anything the government says because they're not in it for you. They're trying to hurt you because we have the wrong type of government. We have the wrong people in government. We have a bunch of scumbags who get bought off by the defense contractors with the lobbyists. That's our government. You want to trust them? Wow. They're doing whatever the defense contractors say. That's why there's a war going on. Hopefully it ends soon, but the war keeps going on and going on, and it'll never end because Zelensky and the EU leaders don't want it to end because they'll lose their power. Even though 1.8 million Ukrainian soldiers have died, and they're using 16-year-old and 60 and 70-year-olds in the military now. I had an argument with a guy in the hot tub about the war. I said, well, Russia won 73-0. And he says, oh, you must be listening to Fox News and Trump. And I go, how do you know what I'm listening to? Why do you say that? I don't listen to Fox News or Trump. I don't like Trump. I listen to Colonel McGregor and our guys here who I find on YouTube who actually know what the fuck's going on. And that's who I listen to. So I don't want to hear, don't tell me what I listen to. You have no idea, but you're so programmed. You think if I have, and I happen to like the Russians. I think they're in the right here. They wanted to defend their country. and there shouldn't be NATO in Ukraine. And Putin's been very good about not killing too many people or taking out mostly military targets. But what can he do? I mean, I don't mind when I hear Putin talk. I go, this guy makes a lot of sense. He's not Hitler and he's not Stalin. Ryan, good talk. Good luck, everyone, with your plays today. Appreciate your TK. Till next time, good day. Thanks, Ryan. Good to hear from you. T1, you're gone. You just said hello. Okay. It's football season. My football guys are coming in. So anyway, that's what we have. It's 2:30, so let's end it. Let's just check on our gold. How did that finish? And the end of the gold is well, we're at 33.73. We've survived the 10 o'clock drop, which looks like it happened 33.72 to 33.70. It didn't drop too much. And it got to 33.75. So we're not getting over that 3,400, which we should. And this should be in the 39s. At least it's holding in close to 39. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold says so. So don't listen at face value to anything. The more you understand, and I hope I teach you, and I'm trying to teach you, the more you understand, then when somebody says inflation's 2%, you laugh at them. When they say inflation is prices going up, you laugh at them. It's the money supply. You're inflating the money supply. When they tell you don't buy gold, you laugh at them. Or should I sell my silver? You laugh at them because they don't know. They need to understand it. And that's the thing. So the object is to teach them so they get it. And then when they get it, then you know who to listen to and who not to listen to. So when these people talk about, oh, they can print all the money they want because we're the reserve currency, they're idiots. Jim Rickard. But when even Andy Schechtman, I don't think gets it. But then when Egon talks, you listen and go, yeah, he gets it. And that's really the bottom line. So what I do is I give us guys who get it, who listen, who understand. It's free trade, it's cooperation, it's gold-backed currency. When I hear people that understand that, we listen to them. And more or less just to see if there's anything that they can help us learn on, because we're restricted to only to our outside world on the news. So I can listen to Douglas McGregor and Daniel Davis. I can listen to those guys about the war. And I can listen to Egon or Mark McGuire on what's going on in COMEX and stuff like that, because I know that they know that. That's why I get frustrated with Mark's guests, because they're just idiots, basically. They don't understand inflation or gold, and you just sit there and you tune out. All right, with that, I will talk to you guys tomorrow, www.teaserking.com. I hope you're all well. Have a nice day. If you're buying, T1, if you want to buy in segments, that's fine. Just send me an email if you already didn't. Ryan, again, whatever you did last year is fine. So that's good. So anyway, have a great day. www.teaserking.com. Thank you.